Hi, and welcome to Time Equation, a brand new YouTube channel dedicated to passion for watches. This is my personal channel on which I'll showcase my private collection, which consists of a number of timepieces I've collected over the last couple of years. I intend to showcase this collection one piece at a time, in the order I have acquired them, so that you can experience the collection the same way I did. You get to understand the reason why I got these watches, what I like about them, what I don't like about them, and generally how they feel wearing them. Today, we continue the journey with another Breitling, and while the last time we were up in the air, this time we will be visiting the ocean, because the next watch I purchased for myself is a diver. And while Breitling's offering includes quite a few diving options, I've gone with the SuperOcean Heritage II, which from its name suggests to be a modern take on a piece Breitling has released before, second revision of the take to be more accurate. That is what I have in this box right here. So let's unbox it together. That way you get to experience the watch the same way I did. Like the Navitimer, the packaging the SuperOcean comes in is superb. The cover slides up. It's a hard cardboard box covered with leather, with these rivets on the side, which hold it in place. When you slide it up, you reveal a nice leather pouch as before. The pouch itself is stamped with a Breitling logo, and as you can see from the year just below it, they've been in the watch business for quite a while now, and they certainly know how to make a good one. That's why I've come back and keep coming back to this particular brand. Again, it's a nice leather traveling pouch, and I've used this very one for my travels. And as for the reasons why I got this watch, was that at this point in my collection, I needed a watch that was more water friendly. Navitimer is not something you want to take to the pool, and while SuperOcean might be a bit of an overkill for splashing around the pool it is a perfect summer watch. And this 44mm SuperOcean Heritage II comes on a really nice rubber strap, which during summer is much more enjoyable to wear than the leather. Plenty of options when buying this watch though. Instead of this strap, I could have chosen a steel mesh bracelet, which I've tried and it was quite nice, almost silk-like feeling while wearing it. However, it is in high polish, which makes this watch pop a lot more. I prefer the much more subdued look for it, so I've gone with the rubber instead. That way colors match between the strap and the dial. It's a better look in my opinion. The strap, even though it's rubber, has been made in a Milanese bracelet pattern, so ultimately they look quite similar either way you go for. We'll come back to the watch in just a second, as the rest of the box contents are something we want to take a look at. And they're quite similar to what we had in the Navitimer box. There's a small piece of cardboard to keep the pouch in place. Below that, there's a leather-bound paperwork for the watch itself. On this side, we have the manual, which for this particular model you should read through. It does take a little more caution to use than the B01 movement, but more on that a little bit later. There's this booklet next, which is an international warranty. Absolutely no issues whatsoever with this particular watch, so I haven't had to use it. It's a 2-year warranty for this particular model, and on the other end, we have a digital warranty, which states that I did buy this particular piece about 2 years ago. Finally, there's a COSC certificate that confirms that the movement of the watch has passed testing, and it's certified chronometer, that its accuracy is between -4 and +6 seconds a day. My SuperOcean is quite accurate, and it performs with a steady +2 seconds a day. I'm very happy with that, as that matches the superlative chronometer specifications of a few other brands. There's plenty to talk about with this watch. You have quite a few options when it comes to choosing it. To start with, you choose if you want the chronograph version or not. About half of the lineup at the time were chronographs. What kind of movement you'd like your chronograph to have is another option. There are variants: Breitling's in-house B01 movement or Breitling's B13 movement, both of which are vertical clutch column wheel chronographs. However, the second one, B13, is really based on the ETA 7750, which is commonly referred to as the Valjoux, from the name of its original manufacturer that was later acquired by ETA. That's the movement I've selected. I already had the B01 movement in my collection, and I wanted to experience the 7750 as well. Some specs for the movement itself: it runs at 4 Hz, so it beats 28,800 times an hour. Its power reserve is around 48 hours. It's an automatic. However, its rotor winds the watch unidirectionally, so only when the rotor mass moves clockwise does it actually wind the watch, and that produces a wonderful little movement quirk. You see, if you spin that rotor just right, it produces a nice wobble sensation. You hear and feel the rotor moving around the case, and honestly, that makes me smile every time it happens. I catch myself taking off the watch just to make it wobble. Now that we picked the movement, there's only a choice of the dial color and the strap left. Obviously, I've gone with the black dial on the black rubber strap, on the other end of which there's a twin pusher folding clasp, and inside which there's a slide mechanism that adjusts the strap size. That's perfect for diving or hot summer days, when the size of the wrist oscillates throughout the day. Gold accents on the bezel and the dial are what solidified my choice. Even though I typically stay away from two-tone watches, this was an exception. Color combination made this watch look amazing. The dial is matte black, with gold hands and indices. The legibility of this watch is perfect, just what you want from a dial watch, something that's easy to read quickly. Being a chronograph, it has 3 subdials for time tracking, seconds, minutes and hours. Events up to 12 hours can be measured with it. At the 3 o'clock, there's a day and the date indicator, which is quite handy. Though, a perfect diver isn't a chronograph if I'm being honest. Chronograph pushers mustn't be used underwater, as that would compromise the case and let the water in. I just like chronographs, and that's why I've chosen this watch anyway. There's also a non-chronograph version of this watch, same color combination, but different movement. Something you should look into if you like the look of this one, but worry about pressing those pushers accidentally in water. Speaking of which, this watch is water resistant up to 200 meters, or 300 meters for the non-chronograph version. That, combined with a ceramic insert, unidirectional bezel, makes it a proper ISO standard diving watch. The bezel is 60 clicks for the full turn, quite satisfying, loud sound when you turn it. Bezel, in addition to the chronograph, lets you time events up to 60 minutes in length, and if you combine the both, you can measure 2 events at once. That does come in handy every once in a while in the kitchen. Keeping up with the gold theme, the bezel inserts are filled with gold. That completes the look. The crown is a screw-down crown. That's a little bit more safety when it comes to water resistance, but it also means that you have to unscrew it to set the watch. Setting the day and the date with a quick set function is why you want to read the manual. When the crown is put in the second position, when the crown is pulled out once, you can set the date by rotating the crown away from you. Opposite motion sets the day of the week. However, and this is a big red letter kind of a warning, you should never do that between 9 p.m. and 3 a.m. That is the time the automatic day-date change mechanism is engaged, which is a lever within the mechanism. That lever can be sheared off if you were to use the quick set function to change the day or the date manually. If that were to happen, the watch would stop changing day and date altogether, and you have to take your watch in for a service. Another tip for this particular movement type is that you should always set the time by advancing the time forward, for the same reason as the quick set being used at specific times only. SuperOcean Heritage has been a great watch for me. I enjoy wearing it. Being a diver, I consider it as a tool watch. I wear it as such. You would find me wearing this in all sorts of situations. That's why there's quite a bit of wear and tear on it. It's been scratched up. On the buckle, on the sides, and even on the back of the case. To me, that just means I love wearing this watch. This is the second Breitling watch I ever bought. It was clear at this point that I have a passion for watches, and that I won't settle by having just a few pieces. Following this one, my collection grew rather quickly. Every few months I buy a new watch that was different from the last. Today, my collection stands at 12 pieces, each with its own story and a set of quirks. I invite you to follow my watch collecting journey by subscribing to my channel. That way you'll get notified and discover the watch I've chosen next. Until then.